We will now together chant the sacred syllable, the Pranava Mantra Om 3 times. As you chant Om, feel the sound arising from deep within you. Take a deep breath. Feel the reverberations of the syllable Om spreading to each and every cell of the body. Slowly, focus your attention on your breathing. Breathe in a normal, relaxed way. Be aware as you breathe. Be aware of every inhalation and every exhalation. Just watch each and every breath of yours. Now as you breathe in, feel the vibrations of the sound Ma with the inhaled air. And as you breathe out, feel the vibrations of the sound Om with the exhaled air. Breathe in Ma and breathe out Om. Ma represents divine love. Om is divine light. Synchronize each breath of yours Every inhalation with the vibrations of Ma, and every exhalation with the vibrations of Om. Let the flow of these sounds be continuous in your breathing. Breathe in Ma and breathe out Om. Slowly feel the sounds Ma and Om fading away from your breath, taking you into a state of deep inner peace and silence. Feel your heart blossoming and getting filled with love and peace. Experience this love overflowing from within towards the whole of creation. Let us conclude this meditation by chanting the mantra Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu 9 times, praying for the peace and happiness of all beings in creation. As you chant each mantra, feel this peace and love flowing from within towards every being in creation. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dear sisters and brothers, I would like to focus my talk today on the topic, the ABC to peace in present times. I have been talking to a lot of people from different parts of the world over the internet these days. And the topic is always about the coronavirus pandemic. A very common phrase that I hear is, I can't believe that this is happening. Recently, a youngster said to me, Swami, I feel this is a dream and someone will wake me up from this nightmare soon. There is a big resistance that we sometimes face in our minds to accept the present situation. The A amongst this ABC is acceptance is a must. The Serenity Prayer, which is always worth contemplating and is especially important in today's times, is as follows. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So we need to have the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, and the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I'm sure many of you have heard of the 5 stages that most human beings go through when they face grief in life or they face different situations. These 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Even with the alarm that rings in the morning, we go through these phases. There is first denial, that is, we turn the other way. Then comes the second phase, that is anger. We show our anger at the poor alarm clock, as if it set the time of the alarm. And then comes the bargaining phase, where we hit the snooze button and say, 2 more minutes. Then when it starts ringing again, there is that frustrated and depressed look on our face. And finally comes the acceptance to the fact that it is time to wake up. Later, we are so relieved that we woke up. Otherwise, we could have missed a flight or we could have missed an important meeting. The earlier the transition into acceptance, more will be the peace that we experience. We have to accept the present situation. There is no other way to it. This pandemic, I feel, is like a collective karma that the whole world is going through. Just like we cannot blame the alarm clock for the alarm that goes on in the morning, in a similar way, we cannot really play the blame game for the situation in hand. It is the fruit of our actions in a collective way that humanity is facing now. We have all learned in physics about how a wire gets heated when there is resistance to the current flowing through it. It can even catch fire when the resistance is high. This is true for any kind of resistance in life. Life gets heated up in suffering as we resist to situations that are there. Serenity comes when you trade expectations for acceptance. It automatically makes you settle. It automatically makes you feel quite calm and serene. Just would like to share an example from my travels to different parts of the world. Normally, when I go for talks, it's a very common occurrence that as I'm giving the talk, somebody's mobile phone will start ringing. Initially, I used to get very irritated as the sound, it disturbs your concentration, it disturbs the flow. But I found that that irritation doesn't just end there. It would spread in my mind, it would come in different forms of thoughts. I would start thinking, what kind of person he or she is? Shouldn't they have the decency to turn off the mobile when the talk is going on or put it on silent? People have become so insensitive nowadays. Then the mind would say, where is this world going towards? I somehow detected this formation of thoughts in my mind. And I said to myself, you are the one who is suffering from this negative chain of thought. The person whose mobile phone rang, he or she is sitting peacefully, not affected at all. Somehow you need to get over this negativity. I came to the conclusion that it's better to accept than grumble about it. Now, when I hear the sound of the phone ringing during the talks, I try to think this way, try my best at least to think this way. Maybe they forgot to put it off or in the silent mode. Or maybe the phone is new and they don't know how to put it off. Or they are who they are. This keeps me relatively peaceful to a very great extent. Dear sisters and brothers, may it be the sound of the mobile ringing that disturbs you, or may it be loss in business, may it be a job layoff, may it be chronic illness, or a massive crisis like this pandemic. Acceptance is the only way to find stability and equip ourselves to deal with it in the right way. Lord Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, he talks about the attitude of acceptance. He calls it prasada buddhi. There is a cessation of sorrow the moment the seeker becomes tranquil inside. The moment the mind becomes tranquil, there is cessation of sorrow. That's what the Lord says. And where does this tranquility come from? It comes from acceptance. Amma gives us a beautiful example. When we go to a temple to receive prasad, the priest may give a little prasad into our hands. We directly consume it. We never tell the priest, not sweet enough. Maybe you could have added a little more sugar. Or we never say, not enough cashews in the sweet pudding. We just accept it with gratitude. Such an attitude, if we can bring it towards situations in life, good and bad, it can really make us very, very stable and serene. Acceptance is sometimes misinterpreted by people as giving up or accepting defeat or setting the bar too low. It is never so. Accepting is a sign of strength and never a sign of weakness. The primary element of acceptance is opening to reality as it is, not how we feel about it. It is opening to reality as it is and not how we feel about it. Accepting is a pause, a period of allowing, a period of clearly seeing things. This helps you to settle, which then gives you the clarity of what to do to make the situation better or turn the situation to your advantage by directing your physical, emotional, and mental energy to the right places, to things that can change through your effort. Acceptance does not mean that you don't have preferences. You can have preferences for sure and work towards fulfilling them. But if they are not fulfilled, you still accept it with equanimity. You don't allow the inner peace to be disturbed. If the external situation may be such that we cannot change it much through our efforts, we can surely mold ourselves as who we choose to be in the face of this experience. So acceptance is always a win-win situation. Acceptance is always in the present moment. Even if you hate what is happening in the present moment, make the present moment your friend, not your enemy. This will miraculously transform your whole life. To accept, it also means to include or make space for the part of us that's screaming no to the situation. So we accept the situation and also the fierce rejection of it at the same time. In the serenity that arises from acceptance, all the disturbances settle down and the mind becomes more silent. Such a mind can think effectively of the right actions to be performed to transform the situation to our advantage. It helps us to become the person whom we have chosen to be in these situations. I'm sure many of you have heard of Dr. Viktor Frankl, a very famous Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist, who was one of the heroes during the Holocaust time. He was one of the survivors from the Nazi concentration camp. And he has written a beautiful book of his experiences called Man's Search for Meaning. It's a very inspiring book to read. As this person, Dr. Viktor Frankl, saw people around him dying, including his near and dear ones, and himself being put into all kinds of torture, he said one thing to himself and kept repeating it all the time. The words were, "They may be able to control my external freedom, but they cannot touch my inner freedom. It is totally my choice whether to be peaceful or distressed." These are words coming from the mouth of somebody who was clearly in charge of himself, who had the acceptance to the situation. When you ask Amma this question, "Amma, what is surrender?" she sometimes gives the answer in one word. She says it's acceptance. It is acceptance of the pair of opposites in life. That is success and failure, joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain. You accept the pair of opposites in life as complementary without any rejection or protest. In Amma's biography, we see how Amma accepted all the challenges that came her way, even from a very young age. There were no complaints that Amma made to the universe as to why she was being tested. Even today, you will never hear Amma complain about those times. There were so many detractors in the earlier days who did everything to stop Amma's mission. And many of them now have turned into ardent devotees of Amma. When Amma is asked about this and how she feels about it, she puts it very beautifully. She says, in those days, they threw stones at me. Now they throw flowers. It is this acceptance that we see in Amma, without any kind of judgmental attitude. So, dear sisters and brothers, accept what is, let go what was, and have faith in what will be. Acceptance is the pathway to peace. Now, let me give you a practical takeaway from this point that we just discussed. Introspect and see what are the things your mind is resisting in these times. Make a note of them in your personal diary and take one of them at a time. Notice the emotions that arise in you when you lack acceptance or when you are resisting to things. Now, try to see something good in what you are resisting, in the thing what you are resisting, or in the action that you are resisting. And being focused on the good, try to develop the acceptance. Just for example, maybe you're bored with my talk. The good thing is that you realize that your hearing is proper. Or you're tired with all the hand washing that you have been doing. It also means you have access to running water. Notice the emotions in you when acceptance has come in. The happiness that comes from acceptance is something that you can notice very tangibly. So, dear sisters and brothers, acceptance is a must. Coming to the B, be flexible to changes. We are in situations where we find ourselves having to bring so many changes into our lifestyle and to our attitudes. Let us not be stiff with our likes and dislikes. Let us learn to be more flexible with them. Have you seen the way the bodies of little children bend? They're totally flexible. They can take their legs around the neck. They can do all kinds of gymnastics. You can see sometimes little children even sucking their big toe, putting their leg around the neck. They have no problem in doing it. Try doing it after 40. You may be able to take your leg around your neck, but then to remove it, you may have to call an ambulance to take you to the hospital. As you get older, the body gets more and more stiff. And when a person dies, have you seen the way the body is? It's totally stiff. Dear sisters and brothers, flexibility is the companion of life, and stiffness is the companion of death. We Indians are very good in flexibility, at least in our head shake. You have seen this head shake that Indians do all the time. It's very confusing sometimes for people from the West. I'm always asked this question, what does it mean when you do this? Is it yes or is it no? I say, it can be both. It all depends on the situation. Let us not be so stiff in life which takes us away from the state of true joy. If we can be with the flow of life, there is nothing more joyful than that. Now, flexibility is not just external, but internal as well. It's the inner flexibility to likes and dislikes that helps us to be flexible outside with the things that we do. A flexible mindset is a relaxed mindset, and a stiff mindset is the opposite. You are always unhappy, anxious, and stressed. I remember an incident that happened after the tsunami. As most of you know, the ashram was also affected by the tsunami. And Amma was all the time, right from the time it happened, for months together, doing her best to help the victims of this natural disaster. And her contribution to help people regain their normal lives back has been enormous and so inspiring. And I'm so fortunate to be a witness to all that Amma was doing in those days. Amma directed the whole rescue and relief operations right from the time the tsunami happened. The university campus across the backwaters in Amritapuri, it became a relief camp, and thousands of people were brought there. When they reached the campus, Amma had made arrangements for everything. People who had lost all their belongings, they had a new set of clothes to wear. They had a bag of toiletries. They had hot food to eat. They had a mat to lie down. Amma made sure that all their needs were met right from the time they reached the university campus. The evening when the tsunami happened, I was helping with the tea distribution in the campus for the people who had reached the camp. There was a huge line of people to take the tea. When I served tea to one person, he took a few sips and then he made a very odd face. I asked him if there was any problem. He said to me, "Not enough sugar." I said to him, "Do you even realize how lucky you are that you just survived a great natural calamity like the tsunami? You have everything arranged here for you in a few hours' time. Don't you think you can be a little flexible from your side to accept things?" This is how our likes and dislikes govern over us. Let us try to be more flexible. Dear sisters and brothers, there has hardly been a time like this when human beings have been confined to their homes without moving anywhere much. I know this is not easy for many, but it is a good time to practice patience and flexibility. We all have got quite busy in our lives, and many of us have become, in one way, karma rogis, that is, afflicted with the disease of doing karma. One may not need to do something in a situation, but still the restless mind pushes you into action. It doesn't allow you to sit still. Real mastery is also the ability to remain still and silent when needed. Real mastery over the mind or action is also the ability to remain still and silent whenever needed. Till now, we were always told by our parents and teachers, especially when we were growing up, we were always told, don't just sit, do something. Life is now telling us, don't just do something, sit. It is a good time for us to go from karma roga, that is the affliction of karma, the karma that comes out of restlessness, to real karma yoga, to do actions with right attitude with compassion and as per the need of the hour. The words of Blaise Pascal, the French philosopher, comes to my mind. He says, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. As flexibility increases, you will see that the mind does not react much to the external changes happening around you. It becomes more peaceful and happy. It allows you to be centered and be in the moment. Now, what is the practical takeaway from this point? Let's talk about the flexibility in our mindset, going from lockdown to becoming open-minded. What does the mind under lockdown state think? It may think about the present situation as follows. It may think, I'm stuck at home. What does an open-minded approach take us to? Or what does an open-minded person think? I'm safe at home. I'm spending more time with my family. I'm having my private retreat. The mind under lockdown state will then say, I will run out of items. I'm not able to buy anything new. I'm not even getting the Amazon delivery. An open-minded person thinks, I have enough at home. Let me use it wisely. Let me reduce, recycle, and reuse. Then the mind under the lockdown state would say, everything is shutting down. I'm panicking. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. An open-minded person will think the most important places like the grocery, the pharmacy, the medical facilities, they are still open. My distance learning is still happening. I'm not really missing much in that front either. Then the mind under lockdown state could say, there is too much of insecurity. I feel anxious and unsafe. An open-minded person would say, while I cannot really control the external situation, I can control my actions. I can try my best to keep myself and my dear and near ones safe by washing hands regularly, by taking all precautions like social distancing, self-isolation, staying at home. I can keep myself healthy by practicing meditation and yoga, doing exercises every day, eating nutritious food, sleeping well in regular hours. I will do whatever I can to make my time productive and to keep myself happy when I am at home. So this is the difference. When we have flexibility in our thinking, you can see that the way we approach situations is very, very different. So the B is be flexible to changes. Coming to the C, convert challenges to opportunities. In today's times, we find so many people who are on the edge due to fear and anxiety. And sometimes they may spend time blaming situations, blaming countries, blaming governments, blaming health systems, blaming health workers, and sometimes even blaming God. On the other hand, you can find so many heroes emerging in these days, in these weeks, who have found ways to spread happiness to others. And through their actions, I'm sure they are making themselves happy as well. Challenges in life can either make us bitter or it can make us better. We have the freedom to choose. We need to take the choice. Do I want to become bitter or do I want to become better? Always remember that you're not a victim unless you decide to be. It all depends on how we use the circumstances in hand, how we use the time in hand. If we can use it well, we can convert these challenges into excellent opportunities of growth. These situations can really help us grow in wisdom and peace. For this, we need to focus ourselves on a higher goal. If we have a higher goal in life, you can see that it becomes much more easier for us to focus our mind on turning these challenges into opportunities. We'll see that no challenge can keep us in a lockdown state. I'd like to give an example of one of the residents who lives in Amritapuri. She's from Germany. Her name is Andrea. Amma has given her the name Purnima. And due to many health complications, Andrea has been on the wheelchair for a long, long time, for many, many years now. But her focus on Amma and her will to serve is so amazing. She never allows her handicap to come in way of doing what she loves to do, which is to serve. In spite of all these handicaps, Purnima travels to all the places that Amma goes in India and abroad. During the programs, you can find her distributing tokens from her wheelchair. In Amritapuri, sometimes you can find her in the hospital distributing the patient cards to the people who are assembled there. You can sometimes find her wheelchair tugging along a load of laundry from the washing area to the drying area, the area where the clothes of the visitors are washed. She may sometimes be helping in the transportation of these clothes to the drying area. It's so amazing to see the way she has been using all these opportunities, all these challenges to grow into opportunities of service. Her love for Amma and the goal that she has to serve has made her such a happy person. In fact, when you look at her situation, you may think, oh my God, this is like a permanent lockdown. We are just in a few months of lockdown, and even with that, we are able to do so many things. But her situation is like a permanent lockdown. With her will, with her focus and her love, she has become free internally and is such a happy person. So, dear sisters and brothers, it is possible for us to convert these challenges into opportunities. During these months of isolation, whenever your mind pulls you down, tell yourselves that nothing is going to make me depressed. I will transform this time into a real fertile soil for my growth. I will keep a higher goal in front of me. It could be being more focused on spiritual practices, or it could be spreading happiness around in your own way. If you are a musician, you could play online and make people happy. There's so many online concerts happening nowadays. If you're a gardener, you could teach some youngsters gardening skills online. If you are a chef, so many people would take cooking lessons from you if you can offer them online. There is so much that we can do to spread joy. Once we do this, we will never be caught up in anxiety, nor will we be ever bored with this time in hand. it will only be an opportunity for us to grow in wisdom, to grow in peace and love. Now, what is the practical takeaway from this point? I would like to mention this practical takeaway with connecting it to an incident that happened with me a few years back. I was in Istanbul, in Turkey, for giving lectures. And I was returning back to Europe. When I reached the Istanbul airport to catch my flight back, I first went to the check-in counter, checked in my bags, and then was looking for the area to proceed for security check. And I could see a humongous line there, humongous line of people standing. As it was a time when the World Cup football was happening, I started thinking, what's this? This is very strange. Are they selling tickets for the World Cup here in this airport? When I asked one of the people there, which is the line to go for security check, he said, this is the line. This huge line that you see. It had nearly reached the entrance of the airport. Somehow I made myself to the end of the line. And standing there, I was initially very impatient, anxious. Luckily, I had time for my flight. I started blaming the airport authorities for not making enough arrangements. I started thinking, how small is this airport? They should have a bigger space. They have so many people traveling through this airport. Of course, now Istanbul has an amazing new airport, which I think is one of the biggest in the world. This was many years back. Luckily, I became aware of this build-up in my mind. It's not that I'm always successful, but this day, somehow I became very aware of it. I thought to myself that this is a situation that I have to face. There is no way to cut the line, as people standing in front of me have earlier flights or a similar flight like me. I can choose to either grumble and be anxious, be frustrated, or I can try to see what are the actions that will help me make the best use of this time in hand. So I gave myself a challenge that before I reach the security area, I'm going to complete chanting the 1,000 names of the Divine Mother. I took it as a challenge. And I started my chanting. I was chanting mentally, of course. And as the chanting progressed, I could hardly even feel the time passing. The line was steadily moving. But I did not feel bored, did not feel impatient, did not grumble. I became so focused on the chanting. And I could see the security counter, appearing at a distance. I kept chanting. And as I neared it, I had still not finished. I remember there was a thought in my mind that, oh, Amma, please let the line go a little slow so that I can finish my 1,000 names before I reach the security check. And it was such a sense of happiness that I experienced as I finished the 1,000 names and then my turn came. At that moment, I somehow managed to give myself a higher goal. And that kept me so focused, and that kept me away from all kinds of grumbling. It helped me use my time in the best way. I know a friend of mine who has taken the task of writing 21,000 mantras, that is 1,000 mantras a day, in this 21-day lockdown period that India is facing. He has taken this vow that he will write 21,000 mantras, that is 1,000 mantras a day. And he wants to bring the books and offer them to Amma when he meets her the next time. we can all try to keep ourselves engaged by giving ourselves such interesting goals to achieve. And this can really help us convert challenges into great opportunities. So the C is converting challenges into opportunities. So dear sisters and brothers, let us face these times with acceptance. Let us be flexible in the way we deal with things. Let's be flexible with our likes and dislikes. And let us try to convert these challenges into opportunities. Let us go deeper, and let us go deeper within and make the foundation of our life solid. Though the stock markets are fluctuating quite a lot all over the world nowadays, let me tell you, it is a great time for spiritual investment. Let us not miss this opportunity. As we are going through these challenging times, let us pray to Amma, let us pray to the Divine for the peace of the departed souls and for their near and dear ones to have the mental strength to cope up with this huge personal tragedy. Let us pray for the thousands who have been affected by this virus and are in hospitals or in self-isolation. Let us pray for the physical safety and mental strength of all the doctors, nurses, medical staff, pharmacists, social workers, police, and all those who have been working selflessly 24/7 to keep us safe. Let me end with a quote from Amma that she gave during these last days. Amma says, "Let us light the lamp of love and faith in our heart." One may ask, how will this dense darkness get lifted just with this little lamp lit inside me? If each person lights the lamp within, then the strength of the light multiplies and all darkness can be overcome. So dear sisters and brothers, let us keep this hope burning brightly within. Let us pray wholeheartedly. Let us use this time the best way to express compassion. Let us use this time to grow in wisdom and peace. I will take a few questions that might have come, in the chat. I had a question that came right at the start of the talk. In fact, I will try to take that question. I think there are two questions that's come at the start of the talk, and then there are any more questions that have come. This time we can look into it. The first question. It's from Germany. Andreas from Germany is asking that nowadays we are getting a lot of WhatsApp messages, and people are sending this in Amma's name, saying that this is a message from Amma, this is something that she said. And many of these messages are sometimes a bit confusing because they don't really match. Somebody gets a very different message. So can you tell us if these messages are really coming from the ashram, or are these messages just being spread by people? Yes, dear sisters and brothers, there's a lot of, activity happening over the internet. Lots of messages being circulated around. And many of these messages are circulated in Amma's name. But let me make it very clear. If there is something that Amma wants to convey to all of you, to her children all over the world, you will surely find that message in our websites, on our Facebook, or on our Twitter handle. You will find those messages there. So I would kindly request you to go by those messages and not just go by all the WhatsApp messages that you receive, because some things may be quite contextual. It may be as per the context, or it may have been misunderstood by people. So please don't go by the personal messages that people are sending. Amma's message to her children all over the world will be in our websites, will be in the Facebook, in Amma's Facebook page, and also in the Twitter handle. So please go by that. The second question. This is Nagaraj from Singapore. Swami, in this crisis that the world is facing, the mental health of children is a cause of big worry. What is your advice on this? I totally agree, Nagaraj. It is a great source of worry because children are getting affected by all the happenings that they see around them, by all that is happening in the world. A few days back, I was talking to a family in Germany whom I know since many years. They have a little son who is maybe 5 or 6 years old. So when I was talking to the husband and the wife, after a while they said, our son is around. Swami, he'll be delighted to speak to you. I said, of course, I will talk to him. So I started talking with him. And initially, I asked him, what is he doing? How is he passing his time? How is he keeping himself occupied? Is he giving dad and mom a tough time? And he started answering in his own way, a very smart child. Then at one point, he said, Swami, can I ask you something? Are we all going to die? I was quite shocked when I heard this question. Of course, I tried my best to explain to him the way things are progressing. I said to him that death is something that every human being has to face, but it's surely not something that you need to be worried about in this present stage. I luckily had some stats from the death rate over the world, and I told him to give him the assurance that the age bracket in which deaths have happened the most have been above 60. It's been the older population. It's so sad that we are losing grandparents in society. So many of us so many people are losing grandparents. I said it's very sad, but it is more in that level that these deaths are happening. He should be strong. He should not be anxious about anything like that. And I just gave him some advice of how to really make himself more focused, more confident and strong inside. I then talked to the parents and I said my advice would be, try not to watch too much of news in front of the kid. Because we may think the kid is not understanding anything, but the kid is seeing a lot of scenes on the TV, which could all make this fear grow inside. And if this fear and insecurity finds a place inside at this age, sometimes it can stay there and it can take different forms as one grows up. So my advice would be, try to watch things on the TV or on the internet when kids are not around. Spend time with them. I know many of you are working from home and it's not always easy, but I think it's so important to spend quality time with your children. Play with them, listen to them. Tell them stories that instill more courage, more strength in them. Tell them stories of people who have done great things in life amidst adversities. You can tell them stories from the scriptures, from the lives of great saints, of great incarnations. All this can give them the needed strength and the protection that children surely need in this hour. Try to keep them protected from all the other kind of news. Try to keep them inspired. Spend quality time with them. Even though they may be a bit adamant and jittery that they are not able to go out much and do things that they would love to do, just bear with them, because this is the time when they really need you. They need your love. They need your support and guidance. So let us not keep this away. The health of children is of utmost importance. Let me take the next question that's come. This is from Flavia in Switzerland. She says, Namaskar Swami, what is your advice to people who are sick at home? Yes, Flavia, it is a challenging time when if one has contracted this illness, because it can make us really anxious. It can really sap our inner strength. But my advice to you would be positive. Be positive, be strong, and keep repeating the word strength, strength, strength again and again with it. Tell yourself that I am going to come out of this challenge. I am going to come out of this situation healthy and strong. I'm not giving up that easily. We are all psychosomatic beings. If the mind is strong, the mind is inspired, it will automatically have an effect on our body as well. It will make the healing process, the rejuvenation process much more faster. So keep telling yourself, I am going to face this with strength and I am not giving up in any way. I'm going to get better very soon. It is this inner push that you need to give yourself every time the mind tends to become depressed. Also, of course, I don't know about the condition in which you are. If you're able to read something, keep yourself focused in the reading if your health permits you to, or to listen to inspiring talks or to inspiring music. All this can lift yourself up quite a lot. Of course, you have to follow the instructions of the doctors, the medicines that they give you, but at the same time, never lose this inner strength of yours, this inner confidence. And Amma is with you as you are dealing with it. She is there. You may not sometimes feel it, but it's just because we are sometimes so caught up with things, with the state of mind in which we are, that we don't feel it. But she is there with you, and she is going to help you come out of it. Just don't lose that inner strength, and you are going to get better. Keep telling yourself, give yourselves a pep talk time and again. And it's very, very helpful in these situations. Our prayers are also there with you, that you recover in the fastest way possible, and you regain your complete health, and you are as cheerful and happy as always. There are a lot of questions, dear sisters and brothers, that have come in. I think to take a few hours to really complete them. Let us conclude today's session with the chanting of the mantra Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu once again for 9 times. As you do this, just imagine the white flowers of peace showering on the entire planet and visualize them falling on your head as well. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.